If you still think chapter 53 is about Jesus, let's look at the next verse, which is not quoted in the New Testament for obvious reasons. It says, Isaiah chapter 53, verse 2, He grew up before him like a tender shoot and like a root out of dry ground. When in the New Testament is Jesus ever described as a root out of dry ground? A tender shoot? He's not, but Israel is. Let's have a look. If there's no beauty that we should desire him, why is Jesus always portrayed as all good looking and blonde hair and blue eyed and six pack chest and stuff? Even on the cross, he still looks like he's been going to the gym. So, where in the Tanakh then is Israel described as a dry root out of ground? Isaiah chapter 5, verse 7, For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah are the plant of his delight. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 21, They are the branch of my planting. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 21, I had planted you like a choice vine from the very best seed. Ezekiel chapter 19, verse 13, it talks about Jews in Egypt and then being taken to Babylon. And then it says, Now it is planted in the wilderness, in a dry and thirsty land. Hosea chapter 14, verse 6, His shoots will sprout, and his splendor will be like the olive tree. And then later in the writings in the book of Psalms, chapter 80, verse 8 and 9, You uprooted a vine from Egypt, you drove out the nations and transplanted it. You cleared the ground for it, and it took root and filled the land. Okay, so it's talking about Israel. Isaiah 53, verse 3, He was despised and rejected. Okay, when was Jesus ever despised and rejected? When you read the New Testament, it seems like everybody liked Jesus except for a handful of Jews, right? Everywhere Jesus went, crowds followed him, they adored him. They even wanted him to be their king at one point, and so everybody loved Jesus until the very end. What about Israel? Was Israel like loved and adored for even a few hours or days or centuries? No, of course not. What does the Bible say? Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 15. For behold, I will make you small among nations, forsaken and despised. Okay, it's talking about Israel, not Jesus. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 15. Whereas you have been forsaken and despised. The rest of verse 3 in Isaiah 53 goes on to say that he was acquainted with grief and a man of sorrows. We hid our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Okay, one translation says sickness. Was Jesus ever described as sick? Or, he traveled all around. He never said, oh, I'm sick, I got to lay down and stop preaching for a while. It says he was one like whom we would hide our faces from. Nobody hid their faces from Jesus. He was crucified with other people. Everybody stood there and looked while he died. Nobody hid their faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Okay, Israel has always been despised by the Gentile nations, and they didn't deserve all the abuses that have been heaped on them. So I think this is talking about Israel. Israel's the servant, not Jesus.